it's Cindy from heatpresscraftinghints.com. When you're finished watching this video, be sure to check out my website for other super cheap ideas for dye sublimation. Today we're going to make a sublimation pillow for under $2. If I were to buy the case for this pillow from my sublimation vendor, it would cost me $4.70 for one case. However, I went to Joann Fabric. I bought a yard of fabric that I like even better than what they're selling at the vendors. It's really super soft. It's a microfiber, which makes it polyester, and it costs $8.99 on sale for a yard of it. So one pillow would cost about $1.50 plus a little bit for the stuffing and the thread. So I hope you enjoy this video, and here we go. The materials I will be using for this sublimation pillow include a quilt square cutter, which I don't use very often because I don't make quilts, but sometimes I use it for cutting. A lint brush, lint roller that you will always use when you make anything with fabric and sublimation. A Fiskars rolling cutter, some Dye Trans Pro spray, and some parchment paper. And as you can see, the fabric right here that is folded so that it is, there's 4 layers right here. And I'm going to be cutting it in just a minute. Okay, I'm cutting the fabric right at 12 inches so that there will be enough for me to be able to make 3 cuts and have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 pillows. Just put a lot of pressure on your cutter. You're pressing into the cutting board. And there you have it. There's my first piece. And with this I have, as you can see, 4 layers. So I'll be cutting those apart just with scissors. And then I'll be ready to sew my pillow. Okay, so I have finished sewing, and now this is what I have. I have, remember, pretty side to pretty side, so the fuzzy sides are on the inside. And I did leave this part open because obviously I have to turn it inside out now to do the sublimating. So we turn it inside out, give it a little shake, and it's kind of a little bit smaller than what I was expecting. And those pillows I was talking about that you can buy from your supplier are about 2 inches bigger than this. But like I said, I just love the softness, and I could have made it smaller, but I like to make as many as I can out of my fabric so that when I sell them, I can make more money. Okay, so here it is, and I still have this open so that I can stuff it, and it is so soft. You're going to love it. I made a design that is something that people around my area I think might like for Halloween. Halloween's right around the corner, so you will see this when I put the final video together because I've done some screenshots. But I live in a place called Paris, Tennessee. It's not Paris, France. However, we do have an Eiffel Tower, and I have a little store in, like, not my whole store, but a little shop where I have a booth set up. So I'm going to be putting some Paris Halloween things in my little store for Halloween, hoping that people will like that. So I've got everything hooked up to my printer. I have a Sawgrass 400. We now go to Virtuoso Print Manager to print, and I will put that in the video too to show you exactly what to do. Right now I've already set up my preferences, so I'm just going to go ahead and print it. And I've also, so I have one square that's going to go in the middle of my pillow, the design, and then I also made some borders to go around the edges because I don't really want, you know, a lot of white on there because white will get dirty. And I'm going to be making 2 of each of those. So while it's printing, again, I will turn this off and we'll see you when it comes time to press. Okay, the next step is going to be to take my lint roller and make sure that there are no little pieces of fuzz on my product, because especially when I cut it, it did have a lot of little fuzzies that fell off. So we want to make sure that those aren't on there, because when they fall off, then our sublimation will not be seen in those little spots. Now, that's finished, and I went ahead and taped this together. So I cut out the borders separately because it doesn't fit on my 8.5 by 11 or 8.5 by 14. I wanted it almost 12 inches wide, and there's no way to do that for the whole picture. So that's one of the limitations of the Sawgrass 400, is that we have to print separately sometimes and piece it together. But this will work. It fits perfectly. I already set it on there to see, and it does fit perfectly on my piece. So now I'm going to go over to the press. Oh, one more thing. When I do have images that I plan to sell, I get them from a website called pixabay.com because they are free. This border was free. The whole pumpkin and everything was free, and then I created the Paris part, and I used my Silhouette software to put that on there. But the images are free, so you won't get in trouble for selling those. Okay, on over to the heat press. Okay, first, as always, well, I have it set on 400 degrees for sublimation, and it's going to be 1 minute when the time comes to press. Right now, I just have the fabric on there, nothing ready to go on yet. I'm just going to pre-press it for about 10 seconds or so, make sure and get any moisture out. You do not want to have moisture in your fabric when you're using sublimation. Okay, 10 seconds. And then I am going to put my protective paper. I just use parchment paper. I did decide to go ahead and order some butcher paper. I'm gonna get the wrinkle out of that. I can get the wrinkle out of both of them. Bothers me that there's a wrinkle in it. So I'm gonna get the wrinkle out. That's gone. And then they say not to use Teflon paper when you're sublimating. So you will not be using Teflon paper. I think it'll make it not as hot as it's supposed to be. Okay. Here's my little product, which barely fits on my parchment paper. Okay. And I'm going to make sure all this is running the same direction. Careful not to burn myself. Grab my picture. And then I do use some of this spray to make sure it stays in place. And I'm going over here to my trash can to do that, because if that gets on the floor, it will be so super sticky and it's really hard to get off. Okay, so I'm going to put that on there. Perfect size. I can't wait to see how it turns out. It's a little short on this side, but hopefully it'll look all right. Okay, parchment paper back on top. And cross your fingers. Here we go. 1 minute at 400 degrees. Let's see how it turned out. Take our parchment paper off. And there we have it. It turned out beautiful. And it was way cheaper than buying it at, and it's not soft. It's so soft. I can't stress that enough. Now I'm going to do the other side. Really, I'm finished here. I'm going to do the other side the same way. I did run off another one. You don't want to use the same one because it's all faded now. See how it's faded? Okay, so you can't use the same one. You have to print another one. And we do the other side. Then we're going to stuff it with whatever kind of soft stuff you want to stuff it with. They have all different kinds of stuff available at the different craft stores, so you decide. So again, my name is Cindy from Heat Press Crafting Hints, and I promise this is the only thing on my website for my quest for super cheap sublimation items. This is the only one that involves sewing. So if you want to find some other ways to get cheap items without going through your vendors are great and they have some wonderful things, but I always like to be on the lookout for other things that that I can buy cheaper, because I'm kind of a cheapskate. So anyway, that's all I have for today. HeatPressCraftingHints.com. Bye-bye.